everyone. Tonight, what's happening over here is that I'm going to be interviewed on a college radio station out of Cleveland, Ohio, called WSCB Radio on a show called Into the Void. And I will be talking about the punk scene, the hardcore punk scene that I was a part of in the early 80s out of New York City. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be cool. And I have no idea what they have in store for me, but I am going to be streaming it here and on my band channel. So what I'm going to be doing soon in about, I guess, 10 minutes, I'm going to be calling the radio station, and then you're going to be hearing it from the radio station, which is the screen you see. That is the show. And the show is pinned in the comments for anyone who wants to go directly to the radio station. So this should be fun. I haven't done one of these in a long time. I get asked to do them a lot, and I usually say no. These guys are pretty solid, and I think it's going to be really good. So I am going to get ready to call them, and we're going to do this. So, and for me, I just hate talking about myself. I hate hearing my music. I rather talk about other artists and hear other people's music. I've always been like that. It's so weird. I am such a weirdo, and I really should have never been in a band because I'm such an introvert. So it was always a challenge. Even today, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Anyway, I'm forcing myself to do this, and we'll see. The show starts in like 6 minutes. And it's a pretty cool show. They do all kinds of underground punk, metal, punk and metal, basically, I think, death metal music. Who knows? I haven't listened to it yet. I have no idea. I didn't review what a previous show went like. So we'll just see. And stay tuned. I'll be calling them in a few minutes, and I'll be playing one of my songs in the interim called Horror. It was a song I wrote. Song I wrote when I was about 19, when I was horrified by the world we live in, and the world wasn't so bad back then. Could you imagine being a kid now, having to live through the bullshit of life? Because it's bullshit. But what can I say? I'm a nihilist. Whatever. Here we go.
Worldwide calamity does not decide its way. You sit there in your fucking chair and tell me that I pray. And as I try to sleep, you're like this every day. This world is a fucking mess and no one let us stay. Running from society, running from their fucking lies, trying to torch the empty life. Trying to see life, trying to make us shake. Right now the anxiety, clarity will fucking
Oh, sorry about that. That was all me. That was me bad. Me bad. Sorry. So now I'm going to tune into the show, whatever's going on over there at the show, We're going to tune into this show called Into the Void of Insanity, and I'm going to call them. So here we go. Anyway, it hasn't started yet. Yeah, I'm winging this, guys. It says listen to last episode. Listen live. Okay, here we go. Whatever the end of this show is. Hold on.
Beats
I
me.
think, but I could be wrong about that. Anyway, so before that was definitely Political Asylum with the song Apathy, also off this double LP comp. And then before that was Postmortem with the song
Casualty.
The Casualty. So yeah, good stuff there, man. And what stood out to me, and these kind of stood out. They sound a little bit different than some of the stuff you've played other times you've guest DJ'd. These kind of a little bit different style. I mean, you can still tell like 80s kind of punkish type stuff, but definitely kind of a little bit slower pace, maybe not as
Kind of like
not as spastic as some of the stuff you played before.
Right. Yeah, you picked up on the fact that this stuff's a little bit more melodic, yet it's definitely like that anarcho-punk, political, punk rock, UK early 80s stuff on Moderate Records.
So we are awaiting, hopefully our guest will very soon here be calling in at 216-687-3515, and we will put her on the air. Again, want to remind people who we're going to be interviewing here tonight, Matt.
We have the privilege of speaking with Donna Damage. She was the vocalist of a punk hardcore band from New York City in the early 1980s. So we'll be getting some history about that band, about their formation, and about their subsequent breakup. Should be pretty interesting if you are a fan of bands from New York City in the early 80s, like Bad Brains. They did shows with bands like the Bad Brains, Dead Kennedys, and so many others. False Prophets, Heart Attack, No Control, AOD, MDC, Bad Posture, just to name a few. So
Yeah. So she isn't calling in quite yet. Oh, maybe this is her. All right.
probably.
Hold on. Let me do this and turn on the phone channel, and we're just gonna put this caller on the air and see. We assume this is her. All right. So, hello, WCSB.
Hey, it's Donna Damage.
Hello.
What's up?
You are on the air.
Hi.
Welcome to the airwaves of WCSB.
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good.
Cool. Cool. Thank you so much for calling and being on the air with us. My
So,
name's Matt.
Oh,
And,
cool.
I'm Eric.
My pleasure.
Awesome. So yeah, great to have you here. Do you want to start talking, or do you want us to spin a track or two off of your LP?
Oh, you could do that first.
Okay.
Is there?
And, I really hate talking about myself, so you're gonna.
Inappropriate.
Always been like that, but if you could prod me with questions when you're ready, it works better for me than trying to monologue.
Is there a certain track that you would want us to play, or anything from a particular side of the album, or?
Well, our hit single.
Inappropriate.
We'll probably have to wait until
Yeah,
10
we got to wait till a little bit
our
later
time.
to kind of play some of those songs
so
with some of
sorry
the
about that.
FCC unfriendly language.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
play whatever
so
we want.
and about a half hour, because we're in Cleveland. I know you're out on the West Coast, so we're 3 hours behind you. But so after 10 o'clock, we don't have any of those restrictions.
Yeah. They're 3 hours
Yeah,
behind us, actually.
the guy who emailed me said that it was like you could say bad words, so I'm very sorry.
My fault for the confusion. We can after 10, so we just have to
After
wait
10
until-
o'clock our time and 7 p.m.
Yeah.
your time. So yeah.
Well, that's probably the only bad word I'm going to say anyway.
All right.
So-
The name of the song.
Oh, yeah.
Or like any of the songs you want to play are fine.
All
Okay.
right, something sticking out to you, Matt?
Why don't we go ahead and start with track number 2 off side A.
Office Jerk.
Yes.
Let me see if I can. I'm queuing this up on the fly here. We are very professional here, right? So,
Live cue on the air.
yeah. It's kind of hard to tell. I think this is the second track.
Okay.
It looks like it. 'Cause looks like some of these songs are pretty short, which is par for the course for this kind of music.
Yeah, well,
so-
it was frowned upon to have any longer songs back then.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Sure. All right. So,
And no
moving.
production either. That was frowned upon too, having your music produced, especially in New York. 'Cause California was cool, like TSOL and stuff, but not in New York
I
at that time.
All right. Well, we will hear Office Jerk, and then we will be back in just about a minute or two here. Then, so
Okay. Cool.
So all right, here it goes.
Are you ready to die? I'm not ready to die. Are you ready to die? Are you ready to die? I'm not ready to die. Are you ready to die? Wait like no time, you die perfect. Right after stop, wait like no time. Wait like no time, you die perfect. Right after stop, wait like no time. Are you ready to die? I'm not ready to die. Are you ready to die? Are you ready to die? I'm not ready to die. Are you ready to die? Wait like no time, you die perfect. Right after stop, wait like no time. Wait like no time, you die perfect. Right after stop, wait like no time. You get up, kick the ball, I don't know why you want 17 and I'm done. I'm serious, I'm now, I'm sure I'm saying so, why you running all up? I'm sure I'm 95, why you inappropriate. I'm sure I'm 95, why you lie? You get up, kick the ball, I don't know why you lie. You're a kid, I'm done. I'm serious, so now, I'm sure I'm saying so, why you running all up? I'm sure I'm 95, why you lie? was a trap on the instructions of a cheese. But daddy might survive from being stuck inside that trap forever.
Oh, wait. There we go. I didn't have our mics on for a second there. Oops. There we go. Now we're back. So, all right. So we actually heard 3 songs there. That was Rat Cheese. Before that was the song Donna wanted to hear, Office Jerk. And before that was the song Are You Ready to Die? So the first track. I thought I queued up on the second track, but I was wrong. So off of this release, Are You Ready to Die? So Donna, this release, this Are You Ready to Die LP, does this compile everything that No Thanks recorded, or just about everything?
Yes, it was our full anthology that came out on Lingua Armada Records. Martine pursued me to let him publish our anthology. I had many other labels who wanted to do it, but I didn't trust anybody, and he was the only one I trust to do it. You know, he was in that band Limprist, and his record label's pretty, like really hardcore punk from around the world.
Nice.
So it's good to look into Lingua Armada. Put out a lot of good recordings.
All right. Yeah.
And shout out to my people over on YouTube who are hanging out. I have a philosophy channel on YouTube called Venus Cupcake, and my peeps are hanging out there listening in. And we're also streaming it on the No Thanks YouTube channel.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, did you want to fire away some questions there, Matt?
Yeah, I
Well,
do.
the original recording, Are You Ready to Die, was a 7-inch put out on Dead Space Records, and they were out of Italy in 2000. What am I saying? 1983. It was they recorded it for us, and then it came out on that label. They went on to totally rip us off and press way more records than they told us they were going to. So there's 2 different pressings, one with a large hole, one with a teeny little hole. They were the ones with the large hole were the unauthorized ones that were pressed.
Wow.
And then they disappeared and went back to Italy with all the money, whatever it would be, which wasn't a lot, but still they totally really kind of did us in. That's why I call it do yourself in punk rock.
And I also read...
Do it yourself, it's do yourself in. Yeah.
I read in your blog thing that there was another scammer more recently that was using the No Thanks music to rip people off who were trying to download your music.
Yes. One day my friend said, hey, do you know you're selling, your music out of Russia? I'm like, no. And I looked into it, and they were totally just selling illegal downloads off of many different websites and pocketing the money. We had no idea, so I had to do a bunch of DMCA takedowns on them, and they stopped. So then I put all the stuff up on Bandcamp because I didn't have it up, and it was not available in digital downloads or anything, except if you bought the record or the CDs that I did with Mr. Motive Reefer Records. That was my own label that I started up in 2006 after the original drummer for No Thanks passed away. We did a bunch of memorial shows for him, and it was made almost like a Las Vegas act because it was like me and 3 guys who were 24 years old and played together forever, and they killed No Thanks. They made it metal.
Oh.
Total metal thrash, No Thanks, because it was now that we had better equipment. These guys are, it was 2006, 2007, and that's when the Lingua Armada record went out, when we did those tours. And I basically only did the California coast, 6 years in a row in the summer when it was fun.
Yeah. One thing that I am curious about that I'm going to make sure that I talk about while you are on the air with us is you mentioned in the liner notes of this record that when the band broke up, there was the changing New York hardcore scene was kind of one of the things that is the main reason that it lists here is why the band broke up. Can you elaborate on the changing scene?
Yes. Well, when it all began, we were just a bunch of kids just putting bands together and playing fast, and there was a lot of different kind of sounds that came out. Raging Youth, Beastie Boys, Savage Circle, my band, Killer Instinct, Rapid Deployment Force. There was a whole bunch of bands, and we really all got along, and we were all just punk rockers. And then when the skinhead scene hit the scene in New York City, it got super violent, and all of a sudden everyone was getting beaten up if they weren't skinheads.
Yes.
So a lot of bands defected even worse. Another band that we played with a lot, and my friend R.B. Corbett, who went on to be in a lot of other bands, too numerous to mention. Recently, she was playing with Bush Tetras, doing a bunch of shows, but everyone just kind of didn't want to deal with the scene anymore because people were getting really hurt at the shows. So, we had a really good run for about 3 years. It was cool, art kind of punk scene, and then it turned when the skinhead scene happened. It was violent, terrible, and it was just like being in a war or something. It was just not fun anymore.
And so what year did that really start to that start to really creep into the scene? The skinheads and the mentality, the philosophy that they brought with them. At least in New York, when did that really kind of start to really
get ugly?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
what happened was that a bunch of Boston bands showed up and DC bands showed up at A7. That was the club that we all hung out with, out at. The guy Dave who owned the place, he just would have reggae and punk shows. And then all of a sudden, DC and Boston bands showed up. And all those guys were so influenced by them that they wanted to shave their heads and become violent and misogynist and everything else that came with it.
Wow.
I mean, before there was Agnostic Fronts, there was the Stimulators. Stimulators was Vinny and Harley, who went on to the Cro-Mags and stuff, and they were just punk rock guys. And everybody got along until the skinhead thing happened. Then it was cool to beat up women, beat up, gay people. And that's not what the scene was like in the beginning with the Undead and the False Prophets and Heart Attack, all the bands that would hang out and play together. It was more like we were mainly vegetarians, mainly punks, kind of hippie kids. Inappropriate. And we would have parties and we all lived kind of in this neighborhood in the East Village in New York City because it was really cheap, burnt out, weird buildings, and everybody lived there. And we would all get together and just drag our equipment over to A7, which was in the neighborhood, same neighborhood as CBGB's, who started hosting matinees, the hardcore matinees. And we all just got along and stuff, but once the skinhead thing came in, it was horrible, and everybody who had any kind of intellect or were in it in the beginning, they just moved on to other bands, or they did other things, or we played separately from those bands, the skinheads.
Right. Fascinating. That is very interesting.
It was really wild. I don't know how anybody could, describe it at this point the way things are. When kids could just move out of all their suburbs and move into this weird neighborhood in New York City, and everything was cheap enough, that you could eat and hang out and have band practice and do all these things, basically with kids working minimum wage jobs. That's what we were doing.
Yeah.
And just kind of working your job and being in a band and just having fun, or even if you weren't in a band, just going to shows and hanging out and enjoying life.
Yeah, it was a great scene in the beginning. Like lifelong friends were made out of the scene. And then it was cool because then Ace was coming in from other parts. Like when the California band showed up, that was so cool. I was so influenced by, the California scene. And then shortly after, I started spending a lot of time in San Francisco.
What California bands were the biggest influences that you saw live? Maybe live.
Well, MDC.
Okay.
MDC lived part-time in Millions of Dead Cops. They lived part-time in New York City, but were based out in California. Dead Kennedys, a Code of Honor. I just blank on names sometimes.
Wow. So how about No Thanks playing outside of New York City? Did you play much outside of the scene? Okay.
We did one show out of Maximum Rock and Roll in their studio in Berkeley.
Wow.
That was it. We didn't play outside of New York City.
Wow.
So that was the only show you played outside of New York City, at least at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that time, like the original No Thanks.
Okay.
The original one. Yeah, I didn't do any more No Thanks shows until 2006.
Okay.
So there was a huge gap.
So about
I was in metal bands and all kinds of other stuff after that.
We were going to ask that too.
and so it sounds like the main thing that kind of caused No Thanks to what's the word I'm looking for, to disassemble or to kind of stop being active was just when the scene got infected with the violence from the skinheads. That was really just, did that kind of just kill the vibe and you guys kind of just lost interest because maybe you felt like
then other things naturally progressed also, where people started to get better at their instruments, wanted to do other things. It was kind of a natural thing that happened. It was kind of like we played out for it was 3 years, and I wanted to spend more time in California.
Okay, yeah.
Jimmy went on, my guitar player who wrote all the music and lyrics with me. He went on, the Undead broke up, and he went on to be in a band called Virus.
Okay. Cool.
And which was the Cause for Alarm singer James Contra joined that band. Because Cause for Alarm was part of the scene. They went totally skinhead and Nazi at one point, even though that they were Hare Krishnas.
Wow.
Which is really funny because a lot of the Cro-Mags, they were all hanging out at Buddhist at Krishna temples. Right. And doing the whole vegetarian thing, but they were, at night, they were violent skinheads. So, and then the Rock Hotel show started with Cro-Mags and when Megadeth was first coming into town, everything was changing.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
And then it turned more into the metal kind of...
The crossover stuff.
Hardcore crossover stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But by then I was doing art stuff. I was in a band called Bad Tuna Experience. I was a drummer. I was the drummer, then I was sick of being a singer. And then we did a whole bunch of shows all the time in New York. And then Gigi Allen stole 2 of the songs and recorded them. And that's the only reason why anyone knows about Bad Tuna Experience.
What are the 2 songs?
He's a Slut and Beer Picnic.
Interesting, because I don't think I know either of those songs out of all of Gigi's catalog that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, those 2 aren't ringing a bell for me either off the top of my head. Did he record those songs and put them on albums or release them as singles? Or
we hated him. He recorded them without our permission. I don't know. I was not a fan. He'd come into New York and play shows. No one would go there in the early days because he'd throw his feces at you. And we just didn't like Stevie. He was not a popular guy until another generation made him famous, actually. So he was not loved in the punk scene at all.
So it was kind of the people that are probably a little bit younger than you that were kind of the next group coming up that he got popular with, as opposed to the people that were coming up in the era you came up in. It sounds like is what you're saying.
Yeah, when he came to town, nobody liked it. It was empty, whatever places
Wow.
he would play. And there was a whole counterculture scene going on. There was, if you ever heard of Missing Foundation, his first band, Peter Missing, the Drunk Driving, and then kind of reggae influenced bands. And there was a whole bunch of stuff going on in New York City at one time at that time. Because everyone who was in the original punk bands went on to do more, continued to do artistic endeavors. It wasn't just like, what the skinhead scene turned into.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fascinating.
And a lot of people, the books that have been written, like that Stephen Blush book, American Hardcore, he is so wrong about almost everything. Like the people who are there, no one likes Stephen Blush. It's like you made up these stories just to write this book. The person what's the other book I have? The other guy. Let me go find it.
Sure.
Yeah, I forget about all this stuff because I've done so many other things after. No thanks. Tony Retman wrote a book called New York Hardcore, 1980 1990.
Okay.
That is more accurate because what he does, he lets all of us speak in our own words.
Oh, far out.
It's an amazing book, and I'm quoted all over the place in that book.
Oh, killer. I'll definitely be ordering that immediately because I'm a
it's
big
called
book
New York
nerd
City,
these
New York
days.
Hardcore, 1980 to 1990. I know he wrote other books, and I think books that went beyond the next, probably 1990 to 2000.
Okay.
But all the early hardcore people are in this book, like Jimmy Gestapo.
Yes.
We're all quoted. Cro-Mags and Kraut, the band Kraut. I forgot to mention them, too. They were really early. They played with The Clash. They opened up for The Clash.
Oh, wow.
They were really one of the earliest bands, besides Even Worse. And then when Black Flag came to New York City, I believe they played with Even Worse. And those were their first shows in New York.
What venue would you remember? Were you at that, or do you remember what venue that first?
Of course, I was at every show back then. It was either like CBGB's, Gildersleeves, A7. And then there was the Peppermint Lounge, where there was a lot of really good shows. Like Fear played the Peppermint Lounge, and I can't remember all this. But it was like the Peppermint Lounge had a lot of shows, and then CBGB started having hardcore matinees.
Right. Absolutely, classic scene history. Here we.
Yeah, and no one. If so many people said they were going to write a book about the early scene, nobody has. And the closest information you could find is in Tony Retman's book. But the people, and somebody else is going to write a book, they're gone now. They passed away. A lot of the people that were in the scene with me are no longer on this earth.
Yeah.
But they went early, too. There were so many people who were gone, like, before they were even 30 years old. The scene was wild.
Sure.
There was a lot of drugs.
Sure.
And,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes me think of...
Our best show that would probably cap the era off was we played at the Beacon Theater, this majestic theater on Broadway in New York City. And it was the Dead Kennedys, Bad Posture. And Bad Posture was bi-coastal at that point. They were based out of San Francisco and New York City at that time.
Oh, nice.
And the False Prophets, and it was, and we opened up. It was the biggest show at that time.
That's great. That's a stacked lineup, to say the least.
And the guy who went on to do all the rock putting that show together, I forget his name.
Okay.
I used to have the poster for years.
Wow.
The last place the poster was, it was the Dead Kennedys poster. It was all back then. We'd go out and we'd paste all the posters everywhere for the shows that were happening. And I still had that poster, and it was on my wall in Big Sur when the whole canyon burnt down. So I lost that poster there. There's a lot of posters.
What a great piece of history that was to be able to, unfortunately, you don't have it anymore, but what can you do? But wow.
Honestly, after I did the hardcore thing, I was like, no one's ever going to care about this at all, ever. So it was like we moved on and did other things. I had a whole box of those singles from Dead Space, the Are You Ready to Die, 7 inches, in the closet. Until one day somebody... what is the name of his band? I should have wrote down people's names and stuff. They were also on Langor Mono Records at the same time that the anthology came out. Todd, his name is Todd. Now, if I can remember the name of the band, there's been so many bands. But he told me, do you have any of those singles left? I'm like, sure. It's like, well, they're going for like $200-$300 a pop. You should sell them. I'm like, well, I have like 25 of them in my closet.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was like, whoa, windfall, a band that you never thought you were going to get any of your rehearsal money back or anything that you put into it.
That's great. Yeah. So
the internet made hardcore, like everyone know what the old hardcore scene was.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how I discovered No Thanks, You have
to understand, my band was suppressed because I was the only female singer coming out of there with a band of guys. Everybody else was in like a girl band. Yeah.
You were probably the only one that I can think of that in that area, that in that region, in that scene, female that was fronting a hardcore punk band. I mean, if there was anybody else.
I was kind of paved the way, but we were also oppressed because of me. A lot of shows we didn't get with the tougher guys, especially like when the scene went into that kind of skinhead thing.
Wow.
Oh, you guys kind of got ostracized because of misogyny.
Wow.
Well, yeah, total misogyny. Women were not liked. It was the 50s again for those people.
Wow.
Oh, man.
So, that's why a lot of the progressive bands like my band, and we were also anti-war. Mm-hmm. We used to go to war, all those protests in the 80s when, Reagan was bombing, El Salvador and Guatemala.
Oh, sure,
places like that. When they were rolling out their test carpet bombings of their new wars, that have now progressed into where we are at now.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of consciousness in the early hardcore bands. There was a lot of really artistic people like, Natch, that he was in the Undead, and then he went on to being Cop Shoe Cop. Later, when that was kind of a noise band. Chris Nance.
Yes, they played in Cleveland a bunch. And we have to we also have to remind the listeners that they're listening to WCSB Cleveland, because it is 10 o'clock and it is now also Safe Harbor, where we can
where portions of the following broadcast might be found to be indecent or objectionable by certain listening audience members, and therefore WCSB advises listener discretion. So,
So, what do you want to do, Donna? Do you want to play a couple more tracks off the No Thanks record, and then we'll finish up and talk a little bit more after that? Does that sound cool? Or
it's your show. It's your show. Do your thing.
All right.
And now, since it's after 10 o'clock, we can play the song that you wanted to play at the start of the show. So I think
that's our hit song. That's our hit song.
I think I have this one queued up here, so we're going to give this one a go. And we'll be back in a few minutes. So, all right.
Cool.
All right.
Inside that trap forever. I am enough now. Fuck everything. I am enough now. I want to be free. My bad and my dress as you do. Off the green, off the power, off the easy way out. Off the green, off the power, off the easy way out. Off the green, off the power, off the easy way out. Off the green, off the power, off the easy way out. Will you act or will you do the other now? Leave it or take a self-denial. Is it worth it when you get out? All that means is it worth it when you get out? Luxury, you all think it's cool. Just all that you do. When it's time to change it, you'll be someone else. Money's offered, more than a moment sense. You give up the way you dress, as you do. Will you act or will you do the other now? Screaming for taking self-denial.
All right, so we are back. That was we heard two songs there, "Poser," and before that was "Fuck Everything" off of the No Thanks, Are You Ready to Die discography LP. So, all right, yeah, we're back. So
I love the style of the way the band played and wrote these tracks.
yeah, very, very just upfront and in your face, right? Yeah, very, very aggressive.
Very
For sure.
chaotic. Very raw. It's just
Yeah. So, all right. So Donna, you mentioned that you did have some other bands after No Thanks, which I wasn't really too familiar. I mean, I think I had an idea that you kind of did some stuff after that. And I think, Matt, you kind of had maybe kind of a rough idea about that as well. But we were hoping maybe you could kind of tell the audience about kind of what you went on to do musically after No Thanks, broke up.
Well, like I mentioned, Bad Tune Experience,
Tune
where I was the drummer.
Experience. Wow.
And I had recently found some of the tracks on YouTube, which really made me happy that from that band. But then I went on to, we started doing like more metal thrash, progressive kind of metal thrash stuff.
Wow.
Okay.
So then we totally like parted kind of the club scene that the punk stuff was going on. And I went into more of a metal kind of band thing. The one band was called Navigator, and we mainly played New York City again, but we also did some demos for Geffen Records, and almost signed, but I decided I didn't want to do it anymore.
Was that when you were a drummer still, or did you switch back to vocals at that
No,
point?
I was singing.
Oh, cool.
And now we're like a decade out, like it's 1992.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And I decided I just didn't want to be in a band anymore, and I just, instead of doing that, I spent from there growing weed and surfing on the California coast.
Okay.
Can't argue with that.
And then, like I said, I went back out and, did No Thanks shows again in the mid-2000s, and that was just prompted by the fact that the drummer Seth died, and I wanted to honor him. So the first tour was basically just a memorial show, and then that Lengua Armada record came out, the 12-inch.
Yeah.
And then at that point, were you the only original member at that point, kind of when you had that version of the band going? Okay.
Yes. Yes. The one living member was still alive, and it was before CBGB's totally closed. He was one of the sound men, and he was playing, I forgot the name of this band. I think it was Battle in Wyoming or something, and I don't remember. But he was a sound man, one of the last sound men. He worked with the dude from Prong, Victor, and that's what
Tommy
he was
Victor from
doing.
Prong. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right.
So and then but not only was I doing that, but I got involved in the rave scene in San Francisco. After the metal band, so I was raving. I was doing big murals and artwork, and involved in a lot of the warehouse parties that went on in San Francisco between like 1993 and about 2003.
Okay, so
So I've always stayed in the music scene somehow. I just wasn't doing the same. I didn't have the same hats.
Sure.
Right.
I've toured with some big bands that just like as a friend, as like a you would say stylist, if you want to call it that.
Nice.
So I don't really want to talk about that.
If anybody who's listening has any questions that they want to ask, maybe they could call and we could have somebody ask a question.
Yeah, if anybody out there listening wants to call in at 216-687-3515, they could certainly do that.
Yeah, feel free. Maybe somebody out there has something that we didn't talk about that they want to hear her talk about or they would like to discuss. So that's certainly an option. We'd like to throw that out to the listeners. So yeah, we'll see if anybody takes us up on that.
Yeah. And
There's
so,
a lot I could talk about. It's just like I would have to have my memory prodded because it like is a long time ago. And it's great if I get together with somebody else. Like at times I would, Steve Wishnia from the False Prophets would come visit me, and we'd just get into it for 2 days straight when he was visiting. He would visit me in Berkeley. He was the bass player of the False Prophets.
Yeah.
Went on to be a writer at High Times.
Okay. So, yeah, well, you could talk about whatever you want. If there's anything that you want to talk about I noticed in the liner notes, too, one thing that I thought was interesting about how you auditioned for the group, when you auditioned for No Thanks. It said that there was an ad or something that you've...
Yeah, there was an ad in the Village Voice, because that's how people found musicians back then.
on channel number 1 there.
You would put an ad in the Village Voice, and then people you'd have, rent studios in Manhattan. So I just showed up, and they handed me the lyrics and played some music, and this was stuff that we never recorded, and then stuff from that demo, the 1982 demo. And I literally just nailed it immediately, and they were like, "Wow, you want to be in our band?"
And we just had somebody who tried to call, and I kind of wanted to wait for a good point to bring in a new caller, but we did have somebody else that called in just a minute ago, so if they would like to call back at 216-687-3515, and here they are. So we will, let's put this person on the air. Hello, WCSB, you're on the air with Donna Damage of the band No Thanks.
That is a beautiful name. Greetings, how are you?
Hi.
For one thing, you should mention the name of the band more often, and you did mention her name. You should do that often and profusely. I have a question about, what you've been listening to lately. It sounds like you might actually like Daisy Chainsaw or Silverfish or bands like that. Does that sound familiar?
Well,
what are you listening to these days?
That's funny you mentioned Daisy Chainsaw, because we did play with them early. If it's the same band, I think, in New Jersey.
Wow.
At some club. But that was when I was in that band Navigator. Sounds familiar to me.
Okay.
Well, that's cool. I don't know. Were they cool?
Yeah, as far as I can remember, I didn't have a bad experience.
Met them. Were they good people?
I guess so. I played with so many bands and been to so many music-related events, and, now it's many years later. So if I didn't have a bad impression, yeah, they were good.
All right.
That's the spirit.
There was a great band called Ultra Bidet that were from Japan, and they were hanging out in New York City for a while. We did a bunch of shows with them. I think they were one of the people on that bill with us and the Daisy Chainsaw that you mentioned, I believe. It's the same band.
Ultra Bidet? I haven't heard that name in a long time either, man. Wow. Interesting.
Or it could be another band with that name, kind of name.
Did you go overseas and tour at all, or was it all in the States?
No, but I did. I have traveled to Wacken and a bunch of other festivals in Europe with a friend of mine's band,
Wow.
a boyfriend of mine,
Nice.
which I'm not going to name the name of it.
He will remain nameless.
I think
Yeah, it's kind of like private stuff.
Got it.
But
got it.
yeah. And by the time it was like 1993, I didn't even really want to be in a band anymore. I just wanted to play. I just wanted to go dancing at raves and surf and grow weed and not do any of that hard work anymore. I was tired.
What's your favorite weed strain?
Oh, what is my Well, I right now I'm smoking on some Durban Poison. I'm really into sativas. I'm a sativa kind of girl.
Sure.
I also like super lemon haze and strawberry cough.
Got it. Those are all ones that I'm familiar with. Yep.
Yeah. California strains, pretty much.
Yeah. Heavy hitters.
Yeah, I like really strong sativas. Most people can't handle them. I don't like an indica. It just puts you to sleep. It's like if I want to go, I don't like being sleepy. I like having.
you want to
energy,
go out and be active when you're enjoying that. Yeah.
It's kind
Oh yeah, I don't want to be locked into the couch.
Yeah.
But indicas do have their good things about them. Like when you're sick or you want to fall asleep, then it's good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The sativa is can be more like a strong cup of coffee or a burst of kind of.
Well, it's more psychoactive instead of being like bodily.
Yes, yeah. Right. Correct.
Like wine. Wine will put you to sleep. I'm a beer drinker. I can drink beer all day and not feel tired. But marijuana these days makes me feel tired. It all depends on how active you are. I mean, if you get up off your chair and wander around, you're good.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to just live in California full time. The organic food, the ganja, and like the scene, the beach,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was just over New York. It's like, get me out of this place.
Oh, I understand. I mean, it makes sense, really.
Well, in other words, after all the damage you put yourself through, you deserve to relax once in a while, don't you?
So
yeah, well, I was pretty resilient back then because I've always been really athletic, so I was able to bounce around, on stage and deal with like mosh pits with boys, but they were used to be cool back then. They weren't like trying to kill you or anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A little bit too aggressive in the on the dance floor.
Well, if you're into electronica and house music, it's pretty peaceful on the dance floor. It's just a whole different scene when you're doing the hardcore thing.
Yeah.
And hardcore paved the way for all the stuff that happened afterwards.
You're darn right it did. Absolutely. So many things began in punk and then went into other forms of extreme music like grindcore and death metal.
Absolutely, yeah. Thrash metal, even, definitely. A lot of. There's some definitely punk and hardcore roots in thrash metal. Yeah, and then of course death metal and grindcore. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, yeah. The styles of vocals and everything, and the blast beats, all of it originated in punk and hardcore somewhere at some time. No matter if it was with DRI or
yeah,
Voivod.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great band!
Voivod. They were pioneers. I saw them a million times.
That's right.
Oh, the first album, man. Yeah, the first album.
Oh, yeah, all of it.
And the demo, even the demos for the first album.
Oh, yeah.
So, so good.
So
they're one of my all-time favorite bands.
And they're still around. They're still active, yeah.
Is there anything?
Yeah.
I just have a final question before I say bye-bye.
Even though we lost Piggy, and that was very, very hard on us all.
Absolutely.
Fire
you
away
do, of course, write all your goddamn fucking lyrics. No? Not all of them?
Oh, yeah. I think Office Jerk, I believe Jimmy, the guitar player, wrote those because he had a horrible office job at the time.
Ah, all right. So he wrote Office
That's
Jerk.
the next
Okay.
song.
We heard that
And then
one.
Rat
yeah.
Cheese. I wrote Rat Cheese, and that was how I saw society when I was 19 years old, and it still hasn't changed.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the lyrics go, controlled experiments you're born to be for mere experiments. You contend with bullshit rather than fight. Running around in circles like mice after their cheese, not give it, not, what else is not? Not, I forget things, not seeing the trap that's set for you, not sensing danger, ignoring fear, running towards the trap blindly, you start to smell the cheese. Look out, you mice, tomorrow's just rubble, you'll be stuck inside your trap forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, when in doubt, just throw a fuck in there. That's no problem.
Yeah, I forget my own lyrics and stuff sometimes. It's like...
That's understandable.
I literally, when we were rehearsing to do the 2006 shows, I had to get out all the lyrics and stuff because I could barely remember half of them.
It's okay. Believe me, I understand completely.
Because at that point you were about a little over 20 years out from being active with it. So, it's just like you
Yeah,
kinda
it was like 23 years.
you gotta retrain that part of your brain again, right? So, yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh, and then I remembered it all pretty easy once. It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the spirit.
Because, when you're in a band, it's like, especially something like a hardcore band, it's like rehearsals are like exercises. It would be like if the monitors would go out on stage, all I had to do was look at what everybody was doing.
Right.
And I knew where we were in the song.
Okay.
That's why how they were jumping around and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in case anyone's not paying attention, we're talking to Donna, a member of No Thanks, and they have a new CD called, or is it a record? Are You Ready to Die?
Yeah, but it's not new. But hey, that's okay. People can look for it on Bandcamp if they would like to.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to ask. If people out there listening are interested in purchasing some of your music, where is the place to go? Obviously, and get officially sanctioned copies of that music. Whether it's on vinyl for purchase or to purchase digitally.
Only on
or
Bandcamp.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I do have some CDs left from the Mr. Motor Reefer pressings, which were all like hand put together, not anything out of a factory. I saw those, but mainly downloads on Bandcamp, and then there are Lingua Armada records available on Bandcamp, the last few that we have.
Okay.
We have red ones. We have very few of those, so those are the real prize vinyls.
Nice. Oh yeah, I saw those on the Bandcamp, the red vinyl. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask.
So now that release is how many years old? It is like 17 years ago that went out. That album, the anthology.
Okay.
It's crazy how time flies. I'm still alive and very, very active.
Yeah.
Unlike many of my contemporaries who have fallen by the wayside.
No, I hear you. I totally understand.
So I wanted to ask, do you have any current musical endeavors that you're involved in that you might want to talk about?
Not really. No, I'm just being a fangirl kind of at this point.
Okay.
Go dancing, some house stuff sometimes. I hang out with my friends. I'm probably going to Europe again this summer for some of the big festivals, big metal festivals.
Yeah, they've got a lot over there each summer, which I'm very jealous of. I definitely need to make it over to Europe, especially to Wacken. I'd love to go to one day, but even maybe some of the other
Wacken.
Smaller festivals
You have
would be
to go to
cool
Wacken.
Too,
But back in the day, it was so different. But
yeah,
I mean, it's still amazing.
Are you a Motorhead fan, Donna?
Not really.
Okay.
I was never really a Motorhead fan.
Okay, that's fine. I was just curious because we are going to play later on in the show before the end of the night something by Motorhead, and I was
Oh,
curious.
it's not that I don't. I do like them. I was never like,
I was just
crazy
curious
fan.
if there was a certain track that you would like us to play by them, but if you're not a big fan, then hey, it's fine. Yeah, no.
It's all right. You do your thing.
Yeah.
It's all good.
How about we play one or two quick more tracks from No Thanks?
Sure.
And then we'll have you back on the air just to say goodbye and wrap up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, is there any tracks in particular you'd like us to play right now?
Well, the track Unity is about what happened to the scene in New York. If you listen to the lyrics,
Okay.
it's all about like wanting the scene to come back together. It was falling apart.
Beautiful.
That was
That'd
one
be
of our last
perfect.
songs that I wrote. That was one of the last No Thanks
Wow.
songs written.
Wow, kind of giving a
Yep.
chronicle of what was going on at the time.
Yes.
Excellent. That's perfect since we were on the subject. It's right, in line with what we were talking about. So,
It looks like that is the last song on side B of this record. So
And it was our last song we ever wrote.
let's hope I cue this up right, because there are so many songs on here, and it's hard to tell matching these things up with the grooves on the record. So I apologize if I cue up the wrong track and we have to hear more than one. Although I would imagine most of the audience probably won't mind that. So all
It's
right,
only like 1 to 2 minutes long.
yeah,
so-
Yeah.
So all right, so here it goes, and we will be back in a few. So all right.
Okie dokie.
Thank
Oh, looks like I really miscued that. So, all right.
Whoopsie.
Let's try again here then. I guess. I assume it's probably this one then. All right, let's give this a try. Nope. It's got to be the one before that then. All right. I think. Hold on.
Next song is our last. It's called Unity. Doing what's good not to be part of it. Doing what's good to keep your head above the play. Running out alternatives, what is only left? United we overcome, divided we fall. Doing what's good not to be part of the system. Doing what's good not to come to stable better together we can. Conquer negativity of the majority, divided will fall. Doing what's good not to be part of the game. Doing what's good to keep your head above the plan. Running out alternative, what is only left? United we overcome, divided we fall. Together we stand, momentary meeting of the majority, divided we fall.
All right, so that was No Thanks with the song Unity.
That was great.
Yeah, that was cool track there. And you said, Donna, that was one of the last song or the last song that you guys wrote. Hello,
Uh-oh.
Donna, are you there? Hello. Our guest does not seem to be with us right now, unfortunately. So.
Well, I can say that I enjoyed that.
Hello?
Oh, there you go. Okay, we got you.
hello.
All right. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, we just played the song Unity there, and I believe before we played that song, you said that was the last or one of the last songs that the band
That was
wrote?
it. That was the
Wow.
last song. That was our goodbye to the scene
Do you remember
song.
Do you remember the lyrics offhand, or some of the lyrics?
Doing what you can not to be a part of the game, doing what you can not to be a part of the plan, running out of alternatives, one is only left, united we overcome, divided we fall.
That's great.
Together we can conquer the negativity of the majority, divided we fall.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was our last song that we played at CBGB's matinee, and that was our last show ever.
Wow.
And that would have been, what, 1984?
Yes.
Okay.
Or 1984 or 85. We did play CBGB's with the Bad Brains several times. I do have a story about one of those shows where
please tell.
the CBS News came in to film the crazy teenagers, and we were playing when they came walking in with their cameras, and we spit at them, kicked at them, and made them run away. It was one of the times that we opened up for the Bad Brains, and right when we were done playing, HR comes to me and says, why'd you do that? It's good they're here. I'm like, no, it's not good. It's not good. They're like, you guys are just really whack. And it's like they were kind of mad at us. And then they played, and they allowed them to film them and stuff. But the bass player, Jamie, he was literally kicking at them and spitting on them. Like, we were real punks.
Oh, wow.
And we knew they were infiltrating us. So we were super conspiracy theorists back then.
You
So,
were concerned they
yeah.
might paint you guys in a bad light, so you did not want
Oh,
their
they
presence.
did. They did.
Okay.
It was a hit piece. It did turn into a hit piece. But, the whole thing was about, we were anti-dinosaur rock, we used to call it, which was like the Rolling Stones, bands like that. We'd
sure.
laugh at them.
Sure.
Okay.
We were way cooler than that. And, we didn't like any kind of commercial anything, because we were like really like living an anarchist lifestyle. In a very dangerous neighborhood in Manhattan where drugs were sold on the street. And we were literally all teenagers living in these horrible tenements so we could play shows. And we all used to hang out on the street all night on Avenue A. There would be 50 kids in Tompkins Square Park and on the streets all night, going into the bodega, getting, quarts of beer. And there was a little coffee stand that was open all night called Ray's Coffee. I think it's still there. And we'd get coffee and then go have breakfast in the morning at a Polish coffee shop. It was really amazing times.
That is so rad.
We had a blast.
Wow.
For a few years.
And you
just running
pioneered-
wild.
And the music that all the bands were playing in that scene that you were active in participating in pioneered, it's a movement that is still prevalent and, relevant right now all over the world.
The Circle Jerk song, Wild in the Streets, it was like.
Oh, wow.
But it wasn't like that in California. You went out into California, it wasn't like that. There wasn't like the cops didn't allow the kids to run wild all night through the streets in California.
Mm-hmm.
It was wild. It was wild in New York City at that point.
The city that never sleeps, right?
Yeah, we had that, and it wasn't, it wasn't very dangerous or anything. We all had each other's backs, and it was wild. I'm very glad that I ended up there. And the friends I made that were lifelong friends, all of them, especially my friend R.B. Corditt, who was in King Missile, Pussy Galore, the Bush Tetras. She went on to a lot of other bands. So
Yeah.
we're still really good friends, and it was great. I don't have any regrets at all in my old age of how I spent my youth.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough.
Yeah. This was a lot
I
of fun.
enjoyed myself.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and seriously.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about that maybe we have not covered? Although we've covered quite a bit, certainly here over the past hour or so. But yeah, anything else you want to mention? Or even if it's just if people want to get a hold of you online, what kind of websites or social media, or where can people kind of check your stuff out or get in contact with you if they wish to? Check out your music,
Okay,
all that kind of stuff.
I have the No Thanks YouTube channel, and they have me buried. They have me buried because they suppress, real artists on YouTube. So in order to find my channel, you have to type into the search bar, No Thanks Donna Damage. It's the only way it's going to come up.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kinda
Or I'm swamped by a bunch of other No Thanks. And I also, there's a link there for my kind of philosophy channel called Venus Cupcake. People know me as Venus Cupcake, and we have a lot of fun. It's a hangout. We hang out. It's like live streaming. We do like scripts sometimes. We play wild music and giggle. It's fun. But if people want to get in touch with me, also Bandcamp, but my email address is zargondesign@gmail.com, and that's with ZARGON design@gmail.com.
Okay.
All right.
I don't do Facebook, really, or any of those
Gotcha.
other things.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to take us out with one more song? Maybe I don't know if
If you
there's
like.
one more thing you want to
It's your
follow
show.
up with something. Or Matt, is there something you want to hear? Maybe.
Why don't you play the first song on side B?
Let's move the needle all the way back here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know what song that is. But
It is, I believe, Surfing Avenue A.
All right. So.
Oh yeah, that's instrumental. That's about us hanging out all night, going wild on Avenue A. And we used to have midnight soccer games in Tompkins Square Park, and it would be like 50 kids playing soccer in the middle of the
Well,
night.
if it's instrumental, I'd rather hear one that has your vocal on it. So maybe we can go to.
Yeah, that's our only instrumental, Surfing Avenue A.
I'm glad we.
You can play Poser. That's our other hit song is Poser. I don't know if you didn't play that yet.
I think we played it.
Yeah, I think we did play that one earlier on.
You could, or Who Me.
Okay. Who me?
This is Mr. America. Yeah, that's an anti-war song.
Which one? Who me or no?
Yes,
Who me? Okay.
Who Me is
So.
anti-war. Are you sure you know what you're doing, Mr. and Mrs. America?
Hey, Eric,
I'm not sure that you
flip the
do.
record over to side A.
Alrighty.
And let's see, track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it's track 10.
All right. Well, I have to count the grooves here. 1. I think this is it. I hope. This is on the fly.
It may be.
So we'll if it's not this track, then hopefully it's the one after it. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, Donna.
Thanks, Donna. You were
And
great.
thank you. It was very enjoyable. You have a great night.
You too.
You too.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
No, thanks. Love you. Bye.
Love you.
All right. Very cool. So,
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, thanks to Donna Damage for calling and then chatting with us for a little over an hour there and playing some tunes. So this is good. We think this is the No Thanks song called Who Me,
Me.
right? So, okay. All right. Let's give this one a go.
I'm gonna rock it, we're popping,
right, so we heard a few there from No Thanks, since those songs are all pretty short. All right, so I can see we're at the end of the record again. So can I see the? I can probably figure out mostly what songs we played there if I can see the actual record. So okay. All right, so I think we just heard. We might have heard another version of "Fuck Everything," I think, and then before that was, if I'm looking at this correctly. Hold on, no, because it looks like we're right before the last song on the record here, which was Unity, which we heard earlier. So I think we just heard Fuck Everything, Question of the Revolution, Boredom. We might have heard Poser. I'm not sure. What's in the song she wanted to hear? Who, Me? I do not see that here on the B side.
So we were on the A side. We flipped it.
Oh, we were on the A side. Oh, all right. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's right. I got confused. So never mind. Scratch that. So I think we just heard the song "Fuck the Past." Looks like before that would have been Bullshit Incorporated, and I think before that was Who, Me. And we might have heard part of the song before that too. Are You Ready? Depending on where exactly I cue the record up at, because sometimes it's hard to tell with this record because there's like, what, 10, 11, 12 songs on each side, and some of them are like only a minute or minute and a half long, and you have to look at the grooves very carefully here. So, but good stuff. Yeah, no, it's fun having Donna on. So, want to thank her for calling in, and thank you, Matt, for donating to Radiothon and coming to you with the suggestion. About a month or two ago, you kind of told me you had this idea and wanted to have her on, and worked out pretty good, I think.
Can't thank you enough.
So. All right, so I want to do a quick concert listing, tell people about some of the things going on this week. So this Thursday on the 30th, tomorrow night is...
So, guys, glad you were all here for that. Wasn't that fun? I should do that more often. People ask me to do these things, but this was pretty legitimate, so I figured I'd do it. Anyone want to come up and chat before I shut this down? You guys all still here? Here's the link if anybody wants to come and chat. Miss you, Mad Cat. If you want to come kind of shoot the shit with me, that would be way cool. But otherwise, if no one wants to talk, yeah, I'll probably end this and maybe go live tomorrow or something. I don't know. I had a hard time hearing what was going on. I just had to walk out of the room and let the live stream play and walk away with the phone and have to talk without the speakerphone because it was distorted and it was hurting my ear like I was being electrocuted the whole time. But I guess it's all right. Cool. Mad Cat's coming up. Cool. We're going to get some background music going on over here. Over here. Let me see. I have to use the little girl's room and I'll be right back. Some little background music. Anyone else want to come up? Mystic? You're still here?
More carrots.
I'll be right back.
Don't tear it. More carrots. Where's Garrett?
Vegetables. Vegetables.
Here I come from the west side. The left side. The right brain drives me insane. Don't lie, don't lie.
Anyways, I'm a bad monologuer, as you know. And I just talked a lot. So, anything else going on besides the usual nonsense of YouTube? The nonsense? Hey, Mad, you want to come up? Mad Cat's coming up. You can have the mad people up here. The mad. Okay. Alrighty. Everybody do their own thing. Anyways, I don't need this other phone on anymore. I bet you Tommy's live right now. I bet.